Are you developing your own game in Unity and wondering how to add a simple localization functionality? In this video, I'll show you how I did it in my game, Enigmarble. In Enigmarble, you play as a marble. Marbles generally don't speak, at least not mine. So the game has very few texts, and all of them are found in the UI. The complete number of texts in my game ended up on 53 texts. So a simple solution worked just fine for my case. You have several options for localizing a game in Unity. You can use Unity's built-in localization package or use something from the asset store. I thought I would keep it simple and use Unity's built-in package. But, plot twist, this package was nowhere to be found in my project, as it required a newer Unity version. I was faced with a choice between upgrading the entire game to a newer Unity version and handling the bug fest that may come along for the ride, or opt for an alternative route. I chose the less bumpy road, creating my own solution. I landed on a CSV solution, which is a handy file format to work with while translating. Writing the CSV reader was not difficult. I followed a tutorial that covered it all. Along with the file reader, I have a static class that stores a dictionary with all the texts for each language. Since it's static, I can request a text from anywhere in the game. Let's talk about which languages you should translate a game to. There are plenty of guidelines and insights on recommended languages, but with Enigmarble so close to release, I opted for adding just 2 languages, German and Norwegian. These 2 languages were not randomly chosen. I am fully aware that Norwegian is a tiny language used in a tiny and cold country in the Northern Europe. But I happen to be Norwegian, so translating it to my native tongue was an easy task. German is a much larger language used by many more people, and also one of the recommended languages to translate your game into. It so happens that I am half German on my father's side. No, not quite. My German is embarrassingly at a basic school level, but I asked my father for help. Luckily, he was happy to help, as we're talking about a few texts and not the next great novel. Powered by a CSV with all the translations ready and my language manager, I then had to adjust all the places where I display text. It turned out that I've made quite a mix of hard-coding texts, spawning texts via prefabs, and fetching texts from scriptable objects. Everything had to be set via code and have a reference to the text's unique ID. This part of the work depends on your project. I definitely recommend designing your code with localization in mind from the start. Learn from my mistake. One big aha moment for me was font families and special characters. I am not translating the game into a language that uses a completely different character set, but both Norwegian and German has special characters. I only realized the fonts I was using was not working for these special characters until after quite a while. First step is making sure that the font families you import support the special characters. Luckily, mine did. To solve this, I had to re-import all fonts in TextMesh Pro using an extended character set. And that wraps it up for today's tiny insight into how I localized Enigmarble. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this approach works fine for a game with such a small amount of texts and mainly one person working on the CSV file. For larger projects filled with dialogue or extensive text, a more adaptable solution would be the way to go. Oh, by the way, if you're curious about how I added captions in my game with colors and directional arrows, stay tuned for an upcoming video.